Ever scroll past an ad online and think, how'd that get there?
Or maybe you're trying to get your product seen, in this whole crazy advertising world.
It's a jungle out there.
It really is.
Well, today we are tackling the often mysterious world of advertising media buying.
We're going deep beyond the flashy campaigns you see everywhere, to the strategists who make those ads appear right before your eyes.
Right, before you even know it, bam, there's that ad again.
Exactly.
Our guide on this journey is RoleCatcher.com.
They're great.
Now, before you think, oh, this is just another job board review, hold on.
Yeah, there's more to it.
They've got career guides, interview prep. They even have AI tools. It's kind of like having an industry insider, like on speed dial.
It's true. It's like having someone in your pocket. What I find fascinating is how they don't just throw job titles at you, They break down what each role actually entails.
They get into the nitty-gritty.
They do.
I like that. So let's start with the heart of it all. What does an advertising media buyer do?
So they're not like, sketching up logos or writing jingles or anything like that.
Okay, so we're not talking about the creative side.
No, no. They come in after the creative part. They're more like the architects of where an ad lives.
Okay.
They analyze, which media channels, like everything from Instagram to those massive billboards you see downtown, they figure out what will best reach a product's target audience.
So, like, if you're launching a new energy drink,
Okay.
the media buyer helps you decide. Do you go all in on, like, esports sponsorships?
It could be.
Do you hit up fitness influencers? Or maybe, like, old school magazine ads? Do those even still work?
Right. And that's what they're thinking about. Like, they're thinking about who's going to see the ad, how much it costs, and they even have to kind of predict future trends so that the campaign doesn't feel, outdated before it even launches.
So they have to be a little bit of a fortune teller?
A little bit.
That's a good mix of skills. Speaking of a good mix, RoleCatcher dives into the pros and cons of this career. Because, let's be real, no job is all, sunshine and roses.
Yeah, you got to be honest with yourself about what you thrive on. Like what makes you excited versus what makes you want to, like, chuck your laptop out the window.
Totally. Okay, let's start with the good stuff. High earning potential. That caught my eye. Gotta pay those bills.
It can be quite lucrative, especially as you gain experience and work your way up.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than just the paycheck, which is nice. This field, it attracts people who crave a fast-paced, constantly evolving environment, You're learning new things, you're adapting to trends, no 2 days are the same.
So for someone like me who thrives on routine and knowing exactly what each day holds,
Yeah.
maybe not the best fit. But for someone who loves that dynamic, ever-changing environment.
Be great.
Yeah, exciting. What do you think about that trade-off, the high energy but potentially long hours?
I think it depends on the person. Finding a company culture that fits. Some people, they thrive under pressure, and others, they really need that structure.
Makes sense.
RoleCatcher does highlight that there is pressure, though. You're handling client budgets, and the market is constantly changing.
Right, you can't just be hanging out picking, like, cool ad spots.
It's a little more than that.
There's a lot of responsibility.
There is.
So that high earning potential probably comes with some nail-biting moments, too, I would imagine.
Yeah, you could pour your heart into a campaign, and then it just totally flops.
Because some new social media platform comes out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Everyone's suddenly obsessed with it. How about you? Are you a high-pressure, high-reward kind of person?
I think a good challenge is good, but you got to have balance or you'll get burnt out. And speaking of balance, RoleCatcher maps out the typical career path for this,
Oh, nice.
which is really helpful to kind of visualize
Yeah.
like where you might fit in and what those like steps upward actually look like.
Okay, so you're not just an assistant forever, hoping that somebody notices you. Break it down for us. What are those stages?
So it starts with like the advertising media assistant,
Okay.
which is where you're really just like getting your feet wet, learning the industry lingo, maybe helping with like market research, things like that. Think of it as an apprenticeship.
Okay.
You're behind the scenes,
Yeah.
but you're soaking it all up.
You're learning the ropes, then you level up. What's next?
Then you're the junior buyer,
Ooh.
which means you get more responsibility,
Yeah.
right? Instead of just like observing the negotiation for a media buy,
Yeah.
you might actually get to do it.
Get in there.
Well, okay, maybe not lead it. You're probably in the room, you're taking notes, but the really experienced buyers are still like the ones, at the table.
They're the closers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So as a junior buyer, you're handling smaller projects, you're still under guidance, but you're proving you can handle the pressure and make good decisions.
It seems like this is where having a mentor would be so crucial.
Oh, for sure.
Just somebody to guide you, help you avoid those early career landmines.
Yeah, you need that support.
Okay, so you've paid your dues, you've mastered the coffee run. What's next? What comes after junior buyer?
You reach the senior buyer level.
Woo, senior buyer.
More autonomy, bigger clients, potentially even leading a team. You're the one making those big strategic calls on where to place ads, managing budgets, making sure those campaigns hit their targets.
We're like the conductor of the advertising orchestra, making sure all the instruments are in sync.
I like that.
And then the peak, the summit, the apex director of media buying.
That's right. You're setting the vision for the entire media buying operation, overseeing those huge strategies, and making sure your team is equipped to handle whatever the market throws at them.
And what's really cool is that RoleCatcher doesn't just describe these roles. They have actual example profiles for each stage.
I know, it's really cool.
That is so helpful because if you're like, okay, experience, great, but what does that actually look like?
What am I actually supposed to do?
Exactly. This gives you a much clearer picture.
For sure, of the skills and the experience needed at each level. You can see what your resume should look like in a year, 5 years, 10 years down the line.
It's like your career roadmap.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're listening to this and you're like, this sounds amazing. I'm ready to dive into the world of advertising. Where do you even begin?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because let's talk about how to actually land one of these amazing sounding jobs. RoleCatcher has some really practical advice. They start with education.
Because, let's be real, in today's world, a degree, it can be your foot in the door.
Oh, absolutely. And while there's no one specific degree that's like mandatory, a background in marketing, advertising, business, that's definitely a plus.
Right.
You got to understand how businesses work, how to reach customers, and how to measure if what you're doing is working.
Makes sense. But even with a fancy degree, experience often speaks louder, right?
Oh, absolutely. RoleCatcher, they really hammer home that internships are key in this field. And not just for college credit. We're talking real-world skills.
Yeah, because it's that catch-22, right? You need experience to get the job, but you need the job to get experience.
Exactly. But don't worry, there are ways to be creative
There
and
are.
to stand out. And RoleCatcher, they have some real gems when it comes to this.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are elbow deep in the world of advertising media buying, and I gotta tell you, it's way more fascinating than those times you accidentally click an ad while scrolling for, puppy videos.
Oh yeah, it's way more than just annoying pop-ups, that's for sure. We've got a lot more to uncover. Last time we were talking about how important experience is, especially those early internships. Those can really give you a leg up.
Which, yeah, easier said than done, right? Just get experience. But RoleCatcher, they surprised me. They suggested even volunteering, to handle, say, a nonprofit's media budget. Even if it's tiny, that can be huge.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it shows initiative. You're not just talking about this stuff. You're out there doing it, even if it's on a smaller scale. And those problem-solving skills, they translate no matter what the budget is.
Exactly. It makes those resume bullet points way more interesting than, made coffee runs, proficient in Excel.
Right. Nobody wants to see that anymore.
Okay, so let's say you snag the internship, you're volunteering, you're out there getting your hands dirty. What else helps you stand out in, this sea of aspiring media buyers?
Well, knowing your stuff is a good place to start.
Of course, yeah.
And RoleCatcher, they have this awesome breakdown of the essential skills and knowledge. And it's not just the basics. They really get into the nitty-gritty that makes you valuable to employers.
Okay, so give me the inside scoop. What are some of those things?
All right, well, first off, familiarity with all those software and tools, the media buying platforms.
Right.
Gone are the days of negotiating million-dollar ad buys with a handshake.
It's all algorithms.
Yeah, algorithms, targeted campaigns, data analysis. You got to know your way around those platforms.
But beyond, the tech stuff, you still got to understand, humans, right?
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher emphasizes how important it is to understand market research and consumer behavior. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out what makes people pick, What captures their attention? And how do we convince them that your product is the thing that they need in their life?
It's like that blend of the data, the trends, but also that little bit of creative spark to connect with people, on an emotional level.
Yeah, you got to know your audience.
You got to know your audience.
And you got to know the rules of the game. RoleCatcher reminds us about advertising regulation.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because each platform has its own quirks. There's legal boundaries. You can't just put an ad for, gummy bears during a kid's TV show anymore.
No, no, there are definitely rules. And they change so fast, it's hard to keep up.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's why RoleCatcher, they don't just like give you the information and say, okay, good luck. They actually give you advice on how to stay updated, which honestly is half the battle in this industry.
Okay, yeah, spill the secrets. How do they suggest we do that? How do we stay ahead of that advertising curve?
Well, first off, attending those industry conferences, events.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it can be a lot of handshakes,
Yeah.
sometimes awkward small talk, but you're hearing from the people who are shaping the future of advertising.
Networking. Plus, free swag. I'm just kidding. But seriously, that networking aspect, you just never know who you're going to meet, what connections you might make.
Oh, it's so valuable. And don't underestimate the power of good old-fashioned reading.
Okay.
Like industry publications, newsletters, those are gold mines of information.
I will say, I am that person who subscribes to way too many newsletters.
I get it.
But the good ones, the ones that curate that content that's specific to what you need to know, those are worth their weight in gold. It saves you so much time
Right.
and keeps you in the loop.
For sure. Another thing RoleCatcher recommends is following influential people on social media, like in advertising, media. It's like a free masterclass.
It's true. You can pick up on little things just by watching how the pros do it. You see what they're excited about, what challenges they're facing.
Exactly. And then there's webinars, online courses. Those are great for building your skills.
Love a good webinar.
Right. Learning from the experts, but you don't have to leave your couch.
It's the best. So we've got the skills, we've got the knowledge, we're staying up to date. But what about that moment of truth, the interview? We are back for the grand finale of our advertising media buying deep dive.
Yes, we are.
If you've been with us, you know we have covered a ton of ground.
So much good stuff.
From like what this job is to like the skills you need to really stand out, but none of that matters if you can't get your foot in the door ready.
It's true. And that's when things get real, you know.
Yeah.
You got like seconds to impress.
Yeah.
You know, your resume, your cover letter, it's brutal out there.
It's brutal. It's like a competition. But it's not impossible.
No, definitely not.
Luckily, RoleCatcher, our trusty guide, they don't abandon us when it's application time. In fact, this is where those AI tools, I think, really shine.
Yeah, they go from like being a source of information to like almost a career coach,
Woo, I like that.
but like a career coach who's also like a tech whiz.
Love that combo. Last time we briefly touched on that AI-powered resume builder. Give us the rundown. How does that thing actually work?
Okay, so instead of like staring at that blank page trying to remember, you know, what you did at that internship like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher's Builder, it asks you these questions. It's like you're having a conversation
Oh, okay.
about your skills, your experience, your education. It pulls it out of you.
That's usually the hardest part, by the way, just getting those words on the page.
Exactly. But here's where it gets even cooler. It analyzes what you've put in and compares it to the specific job you're applying for.
Oh.
So you're not sending out some generic resume, you know,
It's tailored.
tailored. You're highlighting what's most important for that specific employer.
That's huge. Because saying something like organized and detail-oriented, that means something different if you're applying to be like a brain surgeon versus a party planner.
Oh, totally different. And RoleCatcher, their AI,
Yeah.
it knows what keywords recruiters are actually looking for.
It's like a thesaurus that understands what those hiring managers want to hear.
Exactly. And even beyond that, it helps you tell your story in a way that's going to get you noticed.
Right, because
Yeah.
we talked about that. That passion has to come through.
For sure. You got to stand out. RoleCatcher helps you like craft a compelling about me that goes beyond just listing skills, which, let's be honest, that's boring.
Nobody wants to read that.
Right. It's like those personal touches that really make you memorable. And let's be honest, the resume is usually attached to the thing everyone dreads writing.
Oh, the cover letter. Don't even get me started.
I know. They're so formal.
Yeah, they are.
But RoleCatcher, their AI cover letter builder, is like shockingly good. It's kind of like the resume tool. It guides you through it, but it helps you like craft a narrative. You know, it helps connect your story to the company.
So it's not just like, dear sir or madam, I really like advertising.
Please don't.
It's got to be more targeted.
Way more. RoleCatcher really emphasizes storytelling here.
Oh, I love that.
It's like, why should this specific company care about you, right?
Yes.
What is it about their values, their mission that resonates with your work ethic, your personal story? It's showing them that you've done your research. You haven't just sent this to like 50 companies.
Yeah. And it probably helps you avoid that super embarrassing moment where you accidentally send the wrong cover letter, like with the wrong company name, because you're applying to so many jobs.
We've all been there.
That,
Been there, done that.
right.
But yeah, with RoleCatcher, they prompt you to tailor each piece so you're less likely to make that mistake. It's like having like an editor who's constantly reminding you, this company, this specific job,
Yeah.
okay, now make them love you.
Oh, I need that kind of encouragement. I need that in my life.
Right? We all do.
So, to wrap this all up, folks, if you are feeling overwhelmed by the advertising world, which it is a big one,
There's a lot.
it's a lot. You don't have to do this alone. RoleCatcher.com, it's like that friend who not only has all the answers, but like knows how to make you look good in front of your crush, which is, in this case, your potential employer.
That is a great friend to have. And that is invaluable, honestly. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to, like, climb the ladder, having the right tools and resources makes all the difference.
Take control of that career journey. And on that note, folks, this deep dive has officially reached its final destination.
We made it.
We did it. We explored the ins and outs of advertising media buying.
From those everyday tasks to, like, landing the dream job.
And of course, we couldn't have done it without our amazing listeners. We hope that you have learned some things and maybe feel a little inspired to make your own mark on the advertising world.
It's out there. Remember, the best campaigns are the ones that connect with people on a human level.
That's it.
So go out there, be creative, be bold, and never underestimate the power of a well-placed ad.
That's a wrap. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.